Hello, and welcome back to part two. And now we're going to be looking at how we work out where the moon is and what we're looking at when I talk about where the moon is for you and what houses it's aspecting. So each month, I need you to have a copy of this chart and you can print it out or take a screenshot or something. But every month, we're going to be working with this chart as your base reference. So we know from the previous video that we've established that your rising sign in this chart is Libra and your moon is in Libra and the sun is in Taurus. So for you, this is likely to be different. The sun, the moon, and the rising sign may be in different signs, and they're also likely to be in what we call different houses. So to identify the houses, you're going to be looking at this inner ring of numbers. And the houses all mean something different. We've got different meanings and significations that are attached to each of the houses. So, natally, your rising sign will always be in the first house. This is known as the helm, and the helm is where you drive from. It's your operating system in this life, if you like the computer on board a car. It's the operating system that's been assigned to you. It's how you're seeing the world and also how the world is seeing you. So this tells us a lot about what you're actually moving through as you see the world. It's slightly different from your sun sign, which is about your purpose. So, but they both interrelate to each other. And we look at the relationship between the two to see about the difficulties that you may be encountering in expressing both of them. We want people ideally to be able to express their sun very easily and to express their rising sign. But sometimes the communication lines between the two can be muddled, and that's when the individual runs into difficulties. So that's what an astrologer is looking at when they do a consultation for you. And they're also looking at the relationship between the sun and your moon, and then the relationship between all three as well. But for now, for us to do the coaching work that we're doing, we're going to be looking at identifying what houses the moon is working through each month. Because what that tells us is where the energy is focused for you. Um, and obviously, if you're more experienced in astrology, you'll know that, again, we'd be looking at the lines of sight, is what we call it, is where is the moon shining its light, where is the sun moving, and where is that shining its light. So for the moment, we're in Taurus season when I'm recording this. So I know that the sun is here. So for a Taurian, the sun's being shone on them in that sense. So there's a refocus on what Taurians are here to do. It's their month, it's their season. So it's not only their birthday, obviously they're celebrating their birthdays around this time, but it's a refocus for them. But in this case, I would also look at the number here, which is number 8. And I would say that the 8th house is being activated because their sun is in the 8th house. So therefore, 8th house topics are going to be activated. And I will provide you with a sheet, a worksheet of what topics are related to what houses. And then when we have a new moon or a full moon that's in the 8th house, we will be talking about that. And then what I would do is look at what your goals are. And when there's 8th house type goals, we would know if it's a new moon that you would be initiating new things around 8th house topics. And if it's a full moon, that you're completing things about around 8th house topics or releasing things that have reached their completion. So that's how this Astro Coaching thing works. And it's easier to explain it to you in words than it is to try and write it down when I can actually show you a chart and show you this 8th house. And equally, the moon in the first house. It would be the same thing. If we have the moon is full in the 8th house, I would know that that means that something's coming to a completion for you in matters that relate to yourself, to your body, to your appearance, to the way that you're expressing your rising sign in Libra. And that would mean, in terms of your goals, what are we looking at for you that you've been working on that you're coming to a completion with and that you're ready to release? If it's a full moon and if it's a new moon, we'd be looking at, right, this is a really great time to start those new projects. What do you need to plant? If there's something that you want to change, if you're thinking of changing your hairstyle or changing the color of your hair or your appearance, you want a new wardrobe, or just change one thing about yourself, it's the perfect time to do it. And this Astro coaching is all about doing things at the time when you're the most supported for it. So each month, there's going to be different energy happening in each of the different signs for you. And this is very individual because your chart is different to somebody else's chart. So, particularly when we're working in a group situation, it's going to be different for each person in the group as to what you're working on. But you can all learn from each other as to what somebody was experiencing in the first house or the third house or the fourth house, and what went well and what didn't. And that's the beauty of having a group, is that we can learn from other people as well, what went well, what didn't work, and apply that then when you come to your time in that house and your goals around those things. So I hope that's starting to make sense for you. So say, for example, we have a moon in Cancer. So for this chart's person, this would be their 10th house. Now, 10th house careers are, 10th house matters are around career and public visibility. Now, for somebody who's really driven in their career, that's a very different thing than somebody who maybe is retired and isn't so worried about career matters, but it's still about public visibility. So maybe there's something to do with their hobbies or the way that they spend their time, uh, that's coming, it's got more visibility, whatever they're doing. So even if they're helping promote somebody, it might not even be about themselves. But this is a great time if you want attention on a project to go ahead with it. Now, another person's chart may have Cancer, say, in their third house. So what I would do is ask the group to identify, if the moon is in Cancer, what house is it in for you? So that would be what I was asking you. We've got a new moon in Cancer, I might say, and a full moon is usually opposite in Capricorn. So I would ask you to make a note in your notebooks of, we've got a full moon here and a new moon here. And then we would identify, okay, this is the 10th house and the 4th house. And that would be for you individually. And for somebody else, it could be the 8th and the 2nd. And for somebody else, it could be the 6th and the 12th. And it's going to be different for each person as to what themes that's bringing up. But what we would then do is look at the goals that you've set and try and find out what small steps you can make towards your goals that fit in with the themes of the houses that are being activated for you. And that's where the magic of this comes alight, because you know that that's being supported. Whatever you want to start with the new moon and whatever you want to release and complete with the full moon will be related to the themes of these houses. So you know that you're going to make progress towards your goals. It's not linear progress that we're used to, where you just make a plan and you go step by step, but it's in alignment with the cosmos, with the universal energy, and it really is quite beautiful. So things might be out of step. It's a very different way of working, but it is really exciting. And sometimes it's very small steps that seem not that important. And sometimes you might have to really think hard to even create a step. Um, but know that it matters and know that it will count. And whatever it is, it will contribute towards your progress in that area. And sometimes it all starts making sense and coming together as you work through it and start doing it. So I hope that really helps. I hope it makes sense of just helping you see how the moons work in opposition. That if it's the 10th, it's likely to be the 4th. If it's the 7th, it's likely to be the 1st. So the moons work in pairs. Every 2 weeks, we'll have a full moon, and that'll be followed by a new moon, or a new moon followed by 2 weeks later, a full moon. So it works like that. And the moon just travels round, waxing, which is when she's growing in light from darkness, growing lighter and lighter until she reaches the full moon. And then 2 weeks later, from her fullness, she loses light. And that's what we're doing with our projects. We're gaining in light as we grow something, and then we're losing light as we release something and let it go, with the journey of the moon, just following that journey of the moon of growing and releasing all the time. And as you take these small steps towards your projects, they're just going to come together almost without you realizing it, just small incremental steps with the universe supporting you. And it's just going to start coming together and happening because you've got that universal support just built in. And as we go, we'll talk about the bigger conjunctions that are happening and how you can work with those as well. But the essence is just to get this rhythm of the moon, just following that natural rhythm of tuning into that cycle all the time and getting used to growing something and releasing something with that moon pattern. And it's such an excellent discipline to bring into our lives, like a discipline, but also um, just the way that the ancients lived. Our ancestors, it was just a natural rhythm that our bodies know already. It's in our DNA, this rhythm. It's how our ancestors lived and the pattern that we're used to. You know, these clocks and alarms and everything, they were only invented a few hundred years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, if that. It's something very new, and our bodies haven't fully adjusted to it. But this rhythm of light and the moon is something we've known for thousands of years. Thousands and thousands of years, humans have lived like this, just following the moon, following the light, and living in this natural rhythm. So I wish you well with it, and I hope you enjoy learning about it and joining me to work with it. And I hope it helps you reach your goals, you know, your dreams, and how they can grow with the moon to get even bigger. Okay, good luck, and I look forward to seeing you in the group. Thank you.